So Yeshua had 3 temptations in the desert, in his desert. Yes, there is, of course, we have the physical, the desert of that space outside of city walls, the wilderness. But there's a deeper spiritual desert that's even more important in these phrases, that Madbara, that raw, vulnerable, naked, unprotected state, that place where we feel exposed, that place where those spaces inside of our being that don't normally see the light of day are out and they're in the open, and we feel that raw, vulnerable, open state of being. Now, in these examples, we're often told that he encountered the devil in the desert, but what it actually says in Aramaic is akil kartsa, which means the tempter, the accuser, the resistor. That's the space within our own consciousness that is the inner critic, and all of the while we have this light spiritual hunky-dory new agey aspect of being on top, that in the consciousness, in the conscious light, in the back we've got this destroyer. And we don't know how to use that destroyer, because while if we're trying to be the light, not acknowledging those darker aspects of our being, this tempter, accuser, resistor, destroyer is going to come out, and it will literally run amok in your life. Now, Satan in Aramaic, without going too deep in the whole Satan concept, the word Satana in Aramaic, the definition that Yeshua gave us for the word Satan was a being, a kingdom, a house divided against itself. A being divided against itself. And I actually have a CD program called A Being Divided Against Itself that goes really deep into the Satanic concept and how we sort of divide against ourselves. Though it's like me, the good Dale, the good me, plus that space of my consciousness that I'm not used to looking at. Those things that I am not happy about and I'm not proud of. So I do my best to sort of ignore those, and it doesn't work that way. Try not to think about Michael Jackson. Who are you not thinking about? That first temptation that he got from that space of his own being, not the little, in the words of Gandhi, there are no devils running around in the world except those in our own hearts. This whole external devil concept makes really cool movies, and you've got that sexy, slinky serpent that's dancing out in the desert, but it's something much more raw, much more personal that I feel was going on here. That first temptation was that temptation to take these rocks and turn them into bread. Now, Yeshua's response to that was essentially that man does not live by, in the basic translation, man does not live by bread alone, but by all the words that proceed from the mouth of God. First of all, man does not live by bread alone, turning rocks into bread. That word bread here in Aramaic is lachma. Lachma is true sustenance from within. The energy, the life, the substance of life itself, not just physical bread. Yeshua was born in Bethlehem, the house of bread. That word bread means that true sustenance from within, insight and realization from within. So he was born within a house of bread. Deeper, Bethlehem, at least we were told he was born there, even deeper is a being of insight and realization. Yeshua was born within a being of insight and realization. But this word lachma here is very similar to the word mana, which is also an Aramaic word. Mana means, what is it? It's an inquiry, meaning that this representation, this physical representation in front of me is not the true source. It's like, what's behind it? It represents something greater. When the manna fell from heaven and the Israelites were fed, where's heaven? Is it up? Your mind is going up. Heaven, much deeper. Heaven, Shemaya in Aramaic, is a space of human consciousness. When Yeshua was saying up, he was very clear to say in many cases, if it's up in the sky, the birds are going to get there first. Up means higher dimensions of awareness, higher states of being. The very word Aya, Shemaya, Aya at the end of the word Shemaya, heaven, literally means limitless. So it's not something you can find in time and space, because anything in time and space has a limit. That's something very important to understand. But spoke of that manna from heaven. It's literally they connected into the sustenance, the true insight and realization of life itself. Not that pita bread was falling out of the sky and knocking them on the head. It sounds funny almost. But this first temptation is that temptation to almost play parlor tricks, to, if you really are the Son of Man, if you really are the big dog on the block, then take this thing here, take this piece of physical, something locked, embedded within time and space, and sustain yourself with it spiritually, which isn't possible. It's not actually even the bread that feeds us, it's the energy within the bread that sustains us. That's what that first temptation was all about.